Hi guys, so this is a reading about Hugh Jackman and Sutton Foster. I could have sworn somebody wrote a comment asking for this reading, but for some reason I couldn't find the comment, so I'm just unsure of where I saw that, but I figured whether or not I could find it, I would do the reading, because they are an interesting couple. So I will start. So first thing I'm seeing is that they obviously met each other working together. And what I see is that it was like love at first sight for Hugh. So like immediate attraction, it's almost that feeling of like I've known you before, like I've known you in another life, and just pure love from her. It just was like a immediate, like a lightning strike. Now what I see here is that she was, even though she had all the feelings for him that he did for her, she was trying to keep it professional while they were working together. And so she was trying to keep it under wraps and everything. I think also, I mean, I'm not entirely sure of everything with them, but I believe, and definitely based on these cards, that he must have still been married when they first met. And I don't know, maybe she was in a relationship as well, but there's definitely like her kind of like not addressing the elephant in the room of the attraction between the two of them, because like it was off limits. Like there was something in between them blocking it. So she was sort of like shutting it down and not going there with him, even though the feelings were there. Now, the next thing I'm seeing here is that like with Hugh's marriage, like they, from what I gave for these cards, that like they were definitely growing apart, and there was disillusionment growing inside of their marriage, and there was like this wish or desire to like try to have it go back to the way it was in the beginning. And I feel like might have even been talks about that, like, can we get it back to where it was? Or maybe they even like therapy, like couples therapy, to try to get the feeling back or the marriage back to where it was in the past in some way. And it just wasn't getting there. And like this sort of chasm between the two of them just kept growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger. And so it just was something that like they were growing apart. There was just nothing that they could do to ultimately bring it back together, no matter like how hard they tried. I also feel like there was a lot of long distance between them. So, you know, like Hugh's career taking him on sets for long periods of time. Whatever she does for work, like, was taking her away. Like there was a lot of long distance. I would even say could have been like many years of long distance, and it just like was making it harder and harder. I think also there's something here about like staying together for the kids. So even though there was this long distance relationship and they were having issues being able to keep it together, they were sort of saying, well, we can't split, like, because for the kids, you know, we have to like try to remain together. And so it's more of like, for a long time they tried to just, I think, cherish the time that when they were together, to, like, cherish that time together, but ultimately it just wasn't enough to keep it together. I think also the more and more time that they spent apart, the harder it was to sort of like come back together and not only like be in love, but like act loving towards each other and talk to each other in a loving way. It became very mechanical. It became very like roommates, or it's like we're just parenting, like it's not romantic in any way anymore. And I think also a little bit it became hard for them to like find things to talk about, just in general. Which would seem weird if you weren't spending a lot of time with somebody. You'd think like when you come back together you have a lot to talk about. But with them, it feels like from these cards that it was almost like their interests were becoming too distant, were becoming too different. They weren't on the same page of even what they were interested in and what they wanted to talk about. And so it's like, just an example, like if Hugh's coming home and being like super excited about wanting to talk about theater and the play that he's in, and then she's like, oh, I'm so bored with this, like I don't care, I don't want to talk about that, you know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing where it's just like they were not on the same page of what they were interested in. And so ultimately, this feeling like led to a feeling of loss, and kind of like a knowing that there was nothing that could really be done to save the marriage and put it back together. So, just it basically it became it is what it is situation where they had just grown apart. There was just nothing that could be done about it. And so the split happened. And then what I think happened after that was that I feel like Hugh and Sutton, they must have carried on like friendship, after they had first met. Because then it's like there's this thing of feeling here of like, I'm just going to take a leap of faith and I'm going to just tell her how I feel. And, and then it's like telling her and then getting the reciprocal feelings back. So there was that confirmation that she felt that way as well. And so then, it's like they both jump in to the relationship with, both feet. Like they're just like, let's go for it. We're in love, F it all. So, there is an element to their relationship of, like puppy love, like kind of like kids in a candy store. Like it's like they're giddy over each other and they're just throwing all caution in the wind and they're just gonna, be so in love, But there is something to be concerned about here in this reading, because what I see here is there's a little bit of the same situation that, Hugh was having with his wife of long distance. So there is still this long distance situation where their jobs take them away from each other. So there's something that he and she need to be a little bit, concerned about, need to be on top of it. Also, what I see here is like, I do think that they moved in rather quickly with each other. once they had decided that they were in a relationship. Yeah, they moved in pretty quickly. And I think they want to work with each other again. I think they really enjoyed that. That also could be something they could do to, mitigate this like long distance situation. And then there's also a little bit something here about what led up to his breakup of his marriage. I think also had to do with like there wasn't enough effort being put forth to bridge that distance of the long distance. So either meaning there wasn't enough like calling of each other or speaking to each other when you're apart, or even going to visit each other when you have time to do that. And what I see with Sutton is that there is more effort being put into that to mitigate this long distance problem. So either like either like they're going with each other when they're on set, or they're visiting each other when they're on set, or they're talking more often, calls and texts and things like that, where like they feel more connected than Hugh would have felt with his wife. So I'll ask the cards, are they going to stay together? I think that they possibly could get married in the future. I think if they did get married, there could be a little bit of it could be a little bit of a roller coaster type of relationship where it's like when the highs are high, it's going to be fantastic. When the lows are low, it's not going to be pleasant. Meaning there's gonna be time periods where they're supremely happy and having a good time, and then there's gonna be times where they're fighting, about whatever. Couples fight about a lot of different things, but they could be fighting about the long distance. They could be fighting about kids, finances. Who knows? But ultimately, I don't think, based on these cards, that like fighting or whatever they'd be fighting about would split them up. I think ultimately they have a strong connection, so I don't think that would happen. I just think that they might experience some fights every now and then. I'll ask I guess I'll ask, how does Sutton feel about Hugh right now? Yeah, so like first of all, she thinks he's very, very cerebral. Like that's one of the things she enjoys probably the most about him, is he's very intellectual. She can have very deep conversations with him. And she probably feels that he makes her feel that way about herself too, that she's an intellectual and cerebral when she's with him and has these conversations. I think also part of her, I think Hugh kind of has a little bit of like a feminine side, which makes sense. Like he's like a theater kid type of person, so I think she likes that about him, that he's like kind of tapped into his feminine side, and then but then she also like sees this very strong masculine man also there. So she also loves that part of him also. And I think she looks at him like he is a very powerful person, and that is very attractive to her. A lot of women are attracted to powerful men, so he has a lot of power in Hollywood, so I think she really likes that about him. And I think she also feels very safe with him, that he will defend her if she needs that. And maybe, I don't really know, but maybe he did defend her, because I know I think there was some criticism of their relationship, so I think maybe there was some defense for her, and I think she really appreciated that. But yeah, she feels very safe with him, like he's a protector of her. So I'll ask the cards how he feels about her as well. Yeah, so it's interesting because he kind of feels the same way about her, about the protecting, like that she will protect him if he needed it. And maybe she did do that, when they got together. And then this card's an interesting card to get. I'm kind of almost getting two different ways of interpreting it. The first way I'm getting is that she brought him back from the dead. It's like he kind of felt that his romantic life was dead, that it wasn't thriving at all, and he didn't feel loved in the way that he felt maybe he should feel loved. And so she came along, and I'm getting the vision I'm getting is that this is her, and she's walking up, and she's pulling the swords out of his back. And then the other thing that I'm getting is that this card usually means endings. And so it also would mean to me that she was the catalyst for the end of the marriage. So sort of not the catalyst, that's the wrong word, but the inspiration maybe is a better word. The feeling that he had for her, it's that he knew he wanted that, and because he was not getting that, and it wasn't working with his wife, ultimately I think he decided to end the marriage because he wanted to feel that. So more of the inspiration for the breakup. And then he really just sees her as the future. He sees her as this bright, new, shiny, light in his life, and he is so excited for the future and what it's going to bring. And so he's just looking to the future and the rest of their lives. So, very hopeful. I'll ask the cards, are they going to get married? From these cards right now, I'm not necessarily getting marriage. It's more of yeah, so I'm not getting marriage. I'm more getting that it's more of a we're just gonna stay together. We're gonna find a way. So it's like I said before, more effort on the part of like staying in touch and being with each other. So it's like when he's away on, you know, business, like she's coming to visit him. Like when he's away on set or something, she's coming to visit him. This card would like mean to me like that then if she's away, he's traveling to her. Also, this card would indicate to me like messages and like more speaking to each other, and you know, phone calls and messages. Yeah, so more like efforts in that way of being in touch and seeing each other. But yeah, from these cards, I'm not necessarily seeing marriage right away. I guess I'll ask, because the other card, you know, indicated possible. So I'm gonna say, would they eventually get married, like far off into the future? So I think maybe also I might understand this card a little bit more. They might get married, but it might like be secretive. Like they might elope or something like that, where like not many people are gonna know about it, or they're not gonna like talk about it. They're not gonna give people very much detail about it. Or they may not get legally married. They might get like have like a ceremony, something like that, where it's just like not widely known, maybe, that they got married or that they are together in that way. So it's interesting. I don't know how old Sutton is, but I'll ask the cards if they see children in their future, which, you know, if she's too old to have children, maybe it could mean like adoption or something like that. I don't know, so we'll ask. Yeah, the restriction card's here, so maybe she is too old to have children, or maybe she just like wouldn't be able to get pregnant. I don't see children from these cards. Like I see them just sticking with, you know, what they have and where they're at. Yeah, like there's like some sort of inconvenient truth, which I mean leads me to believe that like they can't have kids. You know, either she's too old or she can't get pregnant, or maybe he has his maybe he has a vasectomy. I don't know, but there's something like that, and so the way it is the way it's staying, basically. I'll ask, are they going to work together again in the future? Yeah, I think that they would work together again. Either it'd be like with a big director, somebody well known, or it could be like him directing something with both of them in it. It will do very well, whatever the project is. It will be well received, and make a lot of money. I'll ask just any big news coming up for them in the near future. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I did another reading earlier, and the economy was brought up, and like I am getting like they could be heartbroken over like an emotional and heartbroken over projects that like can't get off the ground or can't get made, something to that effect. So because in another reading I did, it was saying that like the economy is affecting Hollywood and their ability to make movies. Not enough money to go around, so less projects, and so I think they might get affected by that as well. Affected to a certain degree. I think like they're still going to be in love and happy, and but I think maybe it might force them to take some time off and just spend time together, which I'm sure they'd be fine with. So yeah, I don't think I have any other questions. I hope you guys like this reading. Let me know if there's any other celebrities you would like me to do readings for, and please subscribe, and thanks for listening.